Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about biological classification. The earliest classification was done by Aristotle. He used simple morphological characteristics to classify plants into trees, shrubs and herbs. He also divided animals into two groups, those who possess those who are having red blood cells and those who are not having red blood cells. Then after Aristotle, different scientists has worked on this classification. The five kingdom of classification which are existing till today is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. As we can see that the kingdom Monera, which is the bacteria are the mainly the sole character of this kingdom Monera. Bacteria mainly comprises of the kingdom Monera, as you can see here. They are the most abundant microorganism. They lived in extreme habitats such as hot springs, deserts, snow, and deep oceans. Many of them live in or on other organisms as parasites. These bacteria are grouped under the four categories on the basis of their shape, like spherical shape, like rod shape, comma, they can be in spiral shape or spirochetes. You can see on the screen that shapes of bacteria are showing and that streptococcus or you can see that it can be a bacilli, it can be a cocci, it can be others like comma shape, it can be spirochetes, they can be spiral in shape. Okay, so on the basis of their shape, we can say that bacteria can be divided into bacilli, into cocci, and on the other different shape like spirochetes or spiral shape. Now the bacteria can be divided into two big groups like some bacteria are called as a true bacteria or some bacteria are not having that much means like their characteristics are a little bit different from this true bacteria. The archaebacteria are that type of bacteria, those who are living on most harsh habitats such as extremely very salty areas like halophils that they can be exist on hot springs, they can be live on the marshy areas. Okay, and these bacteria are differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme condition. Methanogenes are present in the gut of several animals like cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane, that is a biogas. And from the dung of these animals, we can get it. These type of bacteria means we can see these type of bacteria in the dungs of these animals. Now, the true bacteria. If we are going to see the true bacteria, they are called as eubacteria. There are thousands of different. If we are going to see some bacteria that can be called as a true bacteria, so the most of the bacteria are eubacteria. That is a true bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall, and if motile, a flagellum is present in that bacteria. Some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cells that is called as heterocyst. And Nostoc and Anabena is the example of that particular bacteria. They play a great role in recycling of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. Okay, and heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant in nature. Usually, bacteria cannot make their food and they are surviving, they are living on others as a parasites. So most of the bacteria are heterotrophic in nature and the majority are important decomposers. Many of them have a significant impact on human affairs. And they are helpful in making curds, like if you can see from the milk, production of antibiotics, fixing nitrogen in roots, and some are pathogens and they can cause disease or they can damage human beings body. And these bacteria can be found in crops, farm animals, they can be found in the atmosphere and all. So the cholera, typhoid, tetanus, and different types of disease which we are very much familiar with the names that are caused by different types of bacteria. Bacterial growth mainly, or bacteria can be grow by fission, or we can say under the unfavorable condition, they produce spores. They also reproduce by a sort of sexual reproduction by adopting a primitive type of DNA transfer from one bacterium to the other. If you're going to see, this is the archibacteria. Okay, usually these bacteria, if you are going to see the body of these type of bacteria, so they are having outside there is a capsule, it is present, it is cytoplasm, plasma membrane is visible here. This one is the cell wall, flagellum. You can easily identify the flagellum in bacterial body. Okay, and inside here you can see the ribosomes are present, and this is the DNA. So this is the genome or genetic material in bacteria usually, and for the mortality or for the movement, usually the flagella is very helpful for them. The typical type of eubacteria, that is also called as true bacteria, are structurally similar, but they are having a different molecular characteristics. Okay, we can see can identify both the bacteria. If we are going to see their molecular characteristic, a little bit change we are finding between eubacteria and archibacterias. Okay, so the diagram shows the typical structure of a prokaryote, and if we are going to compare both the bacteria, so outside the structure is same, but inside there are some molecular changes only between these bacteria. Now this is about the mycoplasma. Mycoplasma are the organism that completely lack a cell wall. There is no cell wall in mycoplasma, and they are the smallest living cells known and can survive without oxygen. Many mycoplasmas are pathogenic in nature, and they found in animals and plants, and they can cause disease or infection, we can say. Now, moving to this kingdom Protista. A single cell eukaryotes are placed under the Protista. Members of this kingdom are primarily aquatic. The kingdom forms a link with the other dealing with plants, animals, and fungi, and being eukaryotes, the protozoans cell body, or if we are going to see the Protista's cell bodies contain a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Usually, they produce asexually and sexually by the process involving cell fusion and zygote formation. And we are seeing this protista, these members, as if usually they are found in water or aquatic area where the moist are more water. We are usually finding this type of organisms. Now, protista can be divided into five different groups like chrysophytes, then dinoflagellates, then protozoans, then slime molds, and euglenoids. As we can see here, the chrystophytes or chrysophyte. This group includes diatoms and golden algae, and they are found in fresh water, and they can be found in marine water. They are microscopic and float passively in water currents. Most of them are photosynthetic in nature. Usually they are called as a golden plant, and yellow-green algae cell wall contain pectin and cellulose, and they store food as oil, not starch, and reproduce by both the ways like asexual method and sexual method. Dinoflagellates are mostly the marine and photosynthetic in nature. They appear yellow, green, brown, and blue, or sometimes red, depends on the main pigments which is present in their cells. Usually, these type of organisms they are having cell wall which has stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface. Most of them have two flagella. Very often we are seeing red dinoflagellate undergo such rapid multiplication that they make the sea appear red, but it is very rare. Toxins released by such large numbers even may kill other animals which are present or which are living in this particular area, and such as fishes and all, they can be disturbed because of the toxins. Euglenoids are the other type of protista, and they are freshwater organisms. They found in stagnant water, not the running water. Usually, we are seeing these type of organism in stagnant water only. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle, which makes their body flexible. Though they are photosynthetic in nature and in the presence of sunlight, they are behaving like heterotrophs, but whenever they need, they can be autotrophic in nature also. Interestingly, the pigment of euglenoids are identical to those present in higher plants like euglena. Here we can see the structures. Now the slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. The body move along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. For example, plasmodium. The other one which we are going to see is protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophic in nature, and they live as a parasite in the host body. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. There are four major group of protozoans which we are going to discuss here. Types of protozoa, the different four types which we have to discuss here: amoeboid protozoans, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoan. Then we are going to see what are the amoeboid protozoans. Usually the amoeba, these organisms live in fresh water, seawater or moist soil. They may and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia, that is a false feet, as in amoeba. Some of them, such as entamoeba, they are parasitic in nature and they're causing amoeboid dysentery. The other one is flagellated or flagellated protozoans. The members of this group are either free living or parasitic. They have flagella. The parasitic form cause disease such as sleeping sickness, and they are pathogenic in nature. The other protozoan which we have to discuss here is ciliated protozoa. Ciliated means the outer hair-like structure which is around their body. We can see here the hair-like structures are present throughout the body. So that is the reason these protozoans are called as ciliated protozoa. These are aquatic in nature and actively moving organism because of the presence of thousands of cilia. Their body is covered with the cilia, and these cilia are responsible for the movement in these type of organisms. They have a cavity that open to the outside of the cell surface, and the example is paramecium. The next fourth one is sporozoans. These include diverse organisms. They have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. And the most notorious which we can find is Plasmodium, which is causing malaria in the human body. That is a malarial parasite, and it causes malaria in different, and they are having two different, we can say that multiplication in two hosts like human body and the parasite like the other mosquito's body. So they are completing their whatever life cycle in human body and in mosquitoes body. So mosquitoes are the vehicle for them. They are the only carriers, and they are carrying this protozoa from their body to human body, and from one human body to another human body again. These mosquitoes are responsible to carry this plasmodiums and causing disease like malaria. Moving to the next, the kingdom fungi. The fungi constitute a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. They show a great diversity in morphological and habitat. They are having the different morphology. They are having the structure. Structure is totally different. They are having different habitat, and most fungi are heterotrophic in nature because they are not having chlorophyll, and they absorb soluble organic matter from the dead substrate, and hence they are called as a saprophytes. So those depend on living plants, and animals are called as parasites. So they can also live as a symbionts, like they can be associated with algae or with other organism, and with the roots of higher plants. Okay, and reproduction in fungi can take place by vegetative means, like they can be reproduced by fragmentation, they can be reproduced by fission, they can be reproduced by budding. Asexual reproduction is by spores, which is called as conidia, or sporangiophores or zoophores, or sexual reproduction is by the oospores or basidospores. So this is all about the fungi. They can be divided into different groups like phycomycetes, basidomycete, ascomycete, and uromycetes. Now we are going to see what are these classes. The first one, phycomycetes, members of phycomycetes are found in aquatic habitat and on decaying wood in moist and damp areas, where usually they are finding some parasite, some plants or some living bodies, and they can survive with the help of, or they by getting food from that particular areas. The mycelium is septate. As we can see, this is in this case, this is a bread piece which is means which is having this fungus. So in this case, you can see that mycelium is absorbing nutrients. It is not the root, but it is the mycelium. Okay, and here we can see the black color is spores, which is reproduced with the help of these spores. They are spreading and causing vegetative reproduction, or whatever spreading of this fungus from one place to another place. Usually, some common examples are mucorrhizopus. We can see the bread mold, like this bread mold where mucus rhizopus is causing the means the black or spores they are producing and causing with the help of moist. So moist is very important for the cultivation, for the propagation or reproduction of this fungus. Now, the fungal diversity, as we are seeing here, that the other type of fungus is called as Ascomyces. Very common name. Commonly, they are called as sac fungi. The Ascomyces are mostly multicellular in nature, and penicillium rarely, or they can be unicellular in nature, like yeast, which we are usually use in bakeries and all. They are saprophytic in nature. They are decomposers. They are parasitic in nature, and mycelium is branched and septate. Usually we are seeing the septate or branched these mycelium. Now the next one is basidiomycetes. Commonly known form of basidiomycetes are mushrooms. We are usually observe this mushroom. They grow in soil, on logs, or sometime on the means dirty areas, or we can say under the trees and all. So in living plant bodies, it's parasites, and the mycelium is branched and septate, and some common members are agaricus like mushroom and all this thing. Okay, we can see here that gills are present in this mushroom, and when we are going to magnifying, so the structure is like this. Now, about duromycetes, most commonly they are called as imperfect fungi because only the asexual or vegetative phase of these fungi are known. When the sexual form of these fungi were discovered, they were moved into classes they rightly belongs to. So most or some members are saprophytes or parasitic in nature, while a large number of them are decomposers. We are seeing on litters and help in mineral cycling. So usually they are not called as a perfect fungi. These type of fungi are usually called as a imperfect fungi. Now the legends are discussed about the other type of my class or other type of uh, my organism. Now legends are the symbiotic association, mutually useful association between algae and fungi. The algae component is known as the mycobionts, and the fungi component is called as a mycobionts. So which are autotrophic and heterotrophic respectively, we can say. So algae prepare food for the fungi, and fungi prepare shelter and absorb mineral nutrients and water for its partner. So there will be a mutual understanding between these organisms. So close is their association that if one's live means one is providing food, so the other one is providing the shelter. So lichens are a very good pollution indicator. They do not grow in polluted area. If they are growing, means it is a clean area. Now the kingdom plantae. Kingdom plant include all eukaryotic and chlorophyll containing organisms commonly called the plants. A few members are partially heterotrophic in nature, like we can see in insectivorous plants or the parasites. They can be called as a heterotroph. Otherwise, all the plants are autotrophic in nature. The plant cells have a eukaryotic structure with prominent chloroplast and cell wall, mainly made of cellulose. Usually, plants include algae like bryophytes, like pteridophytes, like gymnosperms and angiosperms. Now, about the animals, the kingdom Animalia is characterized by the heterotrophic eukaryotic organism. They are multicellular, and their cell like means they are not having cell wall in their bodies. They directly or indirectly depend on plants for food. They digest their food in an internal cavity, and they are store food. They are having capability to store or reserve food as glycogen or fats. Most of them are capable of locomotion. Means very rare we can see that animals are not moving, but most of the animals are capable of mortality. They can move from one place to another place. Now about the viruses and viroids. As we can see that viruses are the microscopic structures. Okay, usually the difference between these two structures are viruses, the same viroids and viruses are the same almost, but the difference between these two that viruses are having protein coat, viruses are having DNA and RNA. Viruses can infect all the organism, either plant or animal. While in case of viroids, when we are going to see, they are not having protein coats, they are not having RNA, or they are having RNA, they are not having DNA, and they infect only and only plants. The common characters between these two, that they are not having proper body, means they are not having the cell structure properly. They both are infectious agent, and they need host body to reproduce. So when we are going to see the viral infection of special concern, so viruses cause infectious disease in plants and animals, including human beings. Some animals viruses are specific to human cells, and they are causing different deadly even disease. When we are going to see different types of viruses in human being, like HIV virus, the hepatitis, herpes virus, so many viruses, where we can see that these are causing, and the very common or very popular virus which we are discussing nowadays is that coronavirus, that is causing the deadly disease uh, all over the world. Okay, these are the different types of viruses and structure. As per their structure, we can be divide, or we can be identify different type of viruses. That, like if we can see that some viruses are having envelope, some viruses are having helical shape, some viruses are having spike glycoproteins, or some viruses are having tail fibers. So usually the bacteriophages are having tail fibers, while in other case all the viruses not having this thing. And if we are going to see this coronavirus, so they are having envelope inside genetic material. Then they are having E proteins. Along with this E proteins, there are some M proteins and the spike glycoproteins, which are responsible for producing antibodies when they enter inside the human body. This is the only antigen which is causing antibodies inside the human body. So as we can see that outside the body, living body, they are behaving like a, as in non-living cells. But as they get, or they will be the host body is available for them, so they start behaving and they start multiplying with the help of host metabolic pathways. They are using their body structure, they are using their all the functions, and they are performing, they start multiplying. So in case of helical viruses, if we can see, usually like the tobacco mosaic viruses, which infect a number of different types of plants having a sinky shape capsid that twist around and enclose its genetic material inside this. This is the genetic material which is having only and only RNA. In this case, polyhedral virus like adenoviruses, which are known to cause a range of illness from pink eye to pneumonia, are composed of genetic material surrounded by a many side capsid, usually of 20 triangular faces. The other type, on the basis of their shape, is spherical viruses like the infamous coronavirus, and they are essentially helical viruses enclosed in a membrane known as an envelope, which is spiked with the sugary proteins that assist in sticking to and entering host cell. We can see here, so this is the spike. With the help of this only, they are moving and get inside the host cell like human bodies usually. So the next one is complex viruses like bacteriophages, which infect and kill bacteria and resemble lunar lander, and are composed of a polyhedral head and a helical body, or we can say the tail sheath, or they're having tail fibers that attach to a cell membrane so that it can transfer its genetic material to the bacteria. So these are the different types of viruses which we have seen here. Thank you so much.